There's just a tremendous amount of craftsmanship in between a great idea and a great product. There are certain things you can't make plastic do or glass do. It's that process that is the magic.
So this is a strange versus iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max versus iPhone 17 Air. And I want to start with the top of these phones. Apple is calling them a plateau, which is either an oddly self-aware name for the giant slab of camera hardware hanging off the back of these phones, or a subtle admission that they have hit their peak. But this year doesn't feel like a company that plateaued. It feels like a company finally kind of shaking things up, and that's because the all-new iPhone Air, I think it might be the most surprising iPhone they've made in years. And I've been using both of these phones for the past 10-ish days. And going into this versus, like everybody else, I just assumed that battery life would be its biggest downfall of the Air. And the spoiler alert wasn't even close to the real problem. Stick around, because into this video I will tell you which phone actually won the versus and which one most people should actually buy. So the iPhone Air, it's so thin, is Apple's first completely new, I guess, kind of phone category since the iPhone 10. And after using it, I'm convinced that this is what a 2025 iPhone should feel like. The question is whether or not it's worth the trade-offs, and especially when the iPhone 17 Pro is just 100 more. So going into this, I think I had some preconceived notions and maybe some doubts. Another thin phone, another set of generally thin phone compromises. But the Air generally surprised me in ways that I wasn't expecting. So obviously, the design is the big story here, and that hits you hard. 5.6 millimeters thin, the thinnest iPhone ever made. Obviously, at the body part, not the plateau part. I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same thing. It's gonna be fragile. It's gonna be a gimmicky phone that bends if you look at it wrong. It is not. I tested this thing in my back pocket for the majority of the time that I tested it. That was the best way that I could do it. Back pocketing it and then sitting my fat butt on it was the best way to test durability. It didn't bend at all. And I wear, this is probably TMI, when I sleep, I wear sleep shorts with the pocket. They're kind of like gym shorts. This thing fell out of the pocket onto our hardwood floor twice. Not a single scratch on it. So at least in those tests, durability does not appear to be a concern. What it is though, is legit generally impressive in ways that I was not anticipating. Even after using this phone for days, still every time I pick this thing up, there's a moment of this is really thin. It makes every other iPhone feel like a chunky fat boy. This is not marketing speak. This generally feels like a premium phone. And Apple's obviously positioned this as, I actually think, their flagship device. This is a phone that you're supposed to pick up and go whoa, I need that, I want to spend the money. The Pro gets to be focused on more features and function, while the Air gets to be the desire object. The iPhone 17 Pro went completely the opposite direction of the Air. Apple ditched titanium for aluminum and built this unibody design around the new vapor chamber cooling system. It definitely feels chunkier and more substantial, and heavier too, but there is definitely a method to Apple's madness here. So apart from the size, the display is actually pretty much identical to what you get on the Pro series, which was a big surprise to me. Same 120 Hz ProMotion, same brightness and quality, 6.5 inches. It sits right in between the 6.3 inch Pro and then the 6.9 inch Pro Max that I'm demonstrating here. And something that I also didn't expect, the thinness and lightness makes it feel, and the screen feel, way larger and way more manageable. You get that bigger display without feeling like you're carrying around a small tablet. Before I talk about cameras, battery life is a big part of these phones, and I'll get into detail that in a second. But one thing about battery life is clear. You can never have enough of it. And that's where this video sponsor UGREEN and their MagFlow magnetic power bank comes in. This thing has everything you could ever want from a battery pack. So first, it supports the Qi 2 25 watt standard. So you're gonna get ultra fast wireless charging. You can take the iPhone 17 Pro Max from 0 to 50% in 38 minutes, which is crazy fast for a portable charger like this. The magnetic hold is rock solid. I can look at this action, and it's not going to come off. It uses the same Apple standard array, so once it clicks on, it stays put, even if you're using the phone. Cool thing though, it's got a real-time LED display on the side. It's gonna show you exactly how much battery you've got left, so you don't have to worry about like how many dots are glowing. You'll actually know how much juice you have left. And if all of that wasn't enough, UGREEN threw in a built-in braided USB-C cable that retracts, that doubles as a carry strap, and that's gonna push 30 watts going both ways, so you can charge your device or charge up the power bank quickly. And on top of all of that, you can charge 3 devices at the same time. One on the MagSafe, one plugged in, and one in its available USB Type-C port. And with 10,000 milliamp hour battery capacity, it'll charge everything, but it will charge up your iPhone 17 Pro Max from empty to full about twice, while still being compact and more importantly, flight friendly. It is not a giant thing, it is small. So UGREEN makes some of the best charging solutions out there, and it doesn't stop while on the go. Actually, on my work from home desk, I've got this 2-in-1 MagFlow wireless charger. So if you want a desktop setup, you are covered as well. But whatever one you are looking at, you can check out the UGREEN MagFlow lineup using the link down below. This is a must-have accessory. If you're ever worried about battery life, you're traveling, going international, this thing is the accessory that you need to keep your iPhone charged. And kind of flipping things around, you get that massive rectangular bump that spans the entire width of the phone. You either love it or you hate it. It's on both phones. But it does house, at least on the Pro side, Apple's most complete camera system yet. So the Pro is 3 48 megapixel cameras. So that's wide, ultra wide, and telephoto. The new 4X telephoto, I think, is like the big hero, the unsung sort of superstar of this generation. It's sharp. It handles low light better than the old 5X on the 16 Pro and Pro Max. Even the 8X crop looks surprisingly usable. The Air, it's got just one camera. It is 48 megapixel though, and Apple is calling it a Fusion, and Apple wants you to think that there are multiple cameras there. It can crop to simulate a 2x zoom, which is nice, but that's really it. No ultra wide for group shots or tight spaces, no telephoto for getting close to the action. And when you push that 2X crop, quality falls apart, I think, really quickly. I took both phones to my boys' baseball games. My first game was Zach, this is him. He plays first base for the Rockies. Go Rockies. And the difference in what you can capture from the stands or when I was at first base coaching is dramatic. With the Pro, I can get tight shots of him fielding. I can see his face clearly. I can catch those moments that matter. The Air, not so much. And then there's my oldest son, Nate's games. He pitches, plays first base. The Pro's telephoto let me capture him on the mound in detail. That just wasn't possible with the Air single camera. And also, it's just because I'm a proud dad, here's a video of Nate smacking a double.
Go, go, go! Run, run, keep going, go, go, go to 2, go to 2! Stay on 2, stay on 2! Nate, watch Reggie! Yeah, kid! Yeah!
And for fun, throw another third camera here. That was taken with the Gen 1 Ray-Bans. So shows you how far smartphone cameras have come, even when smart glasses can capture decent footage. All right, so proud, very proud dad part aside. Comparing the main camera quality side by side, both take really good photos, but the difference is clearly in the processing. It does feel like the Air is pumping up the color, and you can see as I'm talking, pumping up the color and digital sharpening a bit to kind of appeal to kind of target audience of people that don't mind just having one lens and want a colorful and kind of punchy photo, which is clearly on full display with these vibrant kind of buildings we shot right by our studio actually in downtown Santa Ana. If you ever see us, by the way, in downtown Santa Ana, say hello. I get a lot of people that are like, that's Santa Ana in the comments, but nobody ever says hi. We'd love to see you guys. The iPhone Air maintains, I think, the expected quality of any iPhone photos. And that's like a big one. You expect a certain level of photo quality when you buy a new iPhone. And the Air, for the most part, delivers that. And it avoids a lot of perceived compromise. But like the Pro phones distinguish themselves with way more versatility. It's probably the idea with a Pro phone. It's 8X crop, despite being definitely a digital crop. I still think gives pretty impressive detail to a point that surprised a lot of people and usually criticize the optical quality phrasing. Same story for video. The Pro gives you ProRes RAW, Apple Log, 4K at 120, all the professional stuff. The Air, not a Pro phone, plays it safe with good looking video, just obviously lacks the Pro features. It's definitely a premium feeling phone. I know I'm gonna get heat for this in the comments, but it does feel like an iPhone SE camera approach. Both phones do get the same front-facing camera upgrade though, and that's a big one. 18 megapixel center stage camera is legitimately the best selfie camera Apple has ever made, and arguably the best selfie camera that is out there. The reframing feature lets you shoot landscape while holding the phone vertically is awesome. I wish they did this absolutely years ago, and I do wish I could get that on the rear cameras too. So both phones use Apple's A19 Pro chip with surprising 12 gigabytes of RAM, and in normal use they actually feel identical. Apps load at the same speed, scrolling is equally smooth. For typical phone stuff, you're not giving up performance to go with the Air. That is a huge benefit to the Air. If you do care about benchmark scores, and honestly don't get too stuck on these numbers, real world usage matters. But here you go. The Air seemed a little throttled in testing, but in real world use, both phones feel exactly the same for pretty much everything you do. Our thermal testing did show something surprising. During 20 minutes of MagSafe charging, they're actually peaked at 89 degrees, only a 2.7 degree increase, while the Pro models ran hotter despite the vapor chamber cooling. Now in all fairness, this was just during charging. In general use, the Pro still ran much cooler thanks to the vapor chamber. But it does show, taking anything away from that, that the Air is not the thermal disaster, at least I expected it to be. And luckily for the Air, since most of the components are located kind of in the camera plateau, you shouldn't feel the phone heating up too much when actually holding it regularly. All right, so elephant in the room, battery life. This was supposed to be a disaster, right? Everybody saw this phone and was that's gonna last 9 minutes. Our testing showed the Air getting 6 to 6.5 hours of screen on time, putting it actually right in between the regular iPhone 17, just behind the Pros 7 to 7.5. Now your usage is obviously going to vary widely depending on your third-party usage, but that's impressive. So on my personal heaviest day, I hit 5 hours and 40 minutes of screen time and ended at 96% usage, and I still had just a little bit of battery left over. That was really impressive. I guess to quantify it, it actually felt really similar to the iPhone 16 Pro battery life, which I want to give credit where credit's due. I don't know how Apple did it. That is insane. They managed to pack similar battery performance into a phone that is dramatically thinner. That is it's impressive whether you're an iPhone fan or not. Is the Pro Max battery life better? Yeah, obviously. It is a 2-day phone for most people. But the Air is not the battery disaster that everyone predicted. It's more like iPhone 17 level, which is fine for most people. Plus, Apple's happy to sell you an optional iPhone Air only battery for $99 on days when you need extra power on the go. And I know you can use it with other phones, but clearly works best with the Air. So, if battery wasn't my biggest fault with the iPhone Air, what was? The speaker. Not the volume, but the quality of that single speaker. It's only got one at the top, no bottom speaker, which most phones have had for years. So this means no stereo, almost no bass. And you flip it to landscape, the sound sounds so unbalanced. If you watch videos on your phone, listen to music through the speakers, this is 100% going to bug you. Now it's not a deal breaker, but you'll notice it every single time. The Pro models with dual speakers sound dramatically better. Fuller, richer, actual separation. I'm sure Apple hopes you'll spend $250 on AirPods Pro 3 as a solution. Once again, another optional accessory you'll need to address, kind of the phone's biggest issue. It's one of those compromises that I think, and you're gonna hear me say it, sounds minor until you live with it. Here's a demonstration. I don't know if it's gonna pick up very well, but here's audio.
There's just a tremendous amount of craftsmanship in between a great idea and a great product. There are certain things you can't make plastic do or glass do. It's that process that is the magic.
So this is a strange versus iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. So after using both these phones pretty extensively, I still really think the Air feels like the future. It's the first phone since the iPhone 10 that feels genuinely new, like rather than just like better than last year. The design is really growing on me. I think is stunning. Performance is flagship level, and it really does make every other phone feel dated. And I assume that this is an engineering sample that's setting up next year's Fold, establishing this thin design language Apple's going to build on with kind of 2 iPhone Airs opening up. For most people, I think the Air is actually a surprisingly right choice. If you take photos but don't live in zoom lenses, if you have access to chargers during the day, and you use headphones for audio, the Air delivers a premium experience that genuinely feels worth it for the money. 17 Pro and Pro Max is absolutely the better camera phone. It's not even close. Better battery, better speakers, better at every feature that Apple makes. But it's also bulkier, feels more like a tool than something you want to show off, and obviously it's more expensive. For me, I'm staying with the Pro. I get battery anxiety, I live in my telephoto for my kids' sports games, and the speaker difference really bugged me more than I expected. The Pro is still the best iPhone Apple makes, but the Air might be the one that most people actually should buy.